Good morning from Bangkok. Today I'm going to do a bit of a day in the life of an international teacher here in Bangkok. It's something that's been suggested by one of my viewers and also actually one of my students who said to me the other day, they said, "Mr. Mark, why don't you do a day in the life of a teacher?" And I thought, well, yeah, that'd be interesting, except for the fact that it's really hard to do it at school because of all the privacy and content rules that we have regarding students. So I couldn't have any of my students in any of my video. So today's day in the life of an international teacher here in Bangkok is going to be a little bit different because it's a Saturday, it's a weekend. So on the weekends, on Saturdays, I mostly go to school and I do some work. And so I'm going to take you to my school and sort of the walk from where I live here in this really nice condo, which is about 20 minutes away from where I work. So I'm going to do the walk. I'm going to walk around the school, have a bit of a chat about where I'm at right now in terms of the year and my job and the future, what I'm going to be doing next year. And you'll get to see a bit of my classroom and some of the work that I'm going to be doing today. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about today is the process that I'm currently going through in terms of maybe looking for a job or maybe deciding to take a year off next year and do something completely different. So I had to put my notice in at my current school once I was deciding I wouldn't be working there next year. So it was beginning of October. I actually had a week break and I went to the Philippines and was thinking more about it then. Then when I came back, I had the really tough job, thing I hate the most about deciding to leave a school, especially one as good as the one that I'm at, the tough job of telling my grade 11 students, my grade 11 business students, that I won't be here next year, which means I won't be finishing the 2-year program, the IB diploma program with them. And for some of them that was a little bit of a surprise, a bit of a shock. And it's a little bit sad, but it's still a long way to go. It's only October, I'll be with them until June. And then before then I'll sort of get in touch with whoever takes my job and do a handover process and maybe do a little video call where my students will get to meet their incoming new teacher, and that makes things sort of a little bit easier in terms of the transition. But it is a tough time, and now everyone knows that I'm leaving, so the conversations start about, okay, what are you going to do next year? And I'm chatting to other teachers about what they might be doing, a couple of others that are leaving, and this whole job hunting process. Now, even though I don't know if I want a job, I am going to go through the whole process of job hunting because the dream job might be out there, might pop up and I'll go, yep, that's what I want to do. And I'll put a hold to my plans of taking a year off. Doing this, I get to explain to you guys out there what the whole process looks like when you're trying to find a new international teaching job. So as I kind of do this walk, I want to reflect on where I'm up to at the moment. And I have seen a couple of jobs that are interesting. I've actually sent some inquiries. Kind of applied in terms of just the initial contact that I've made with a couple of schools, and I've done that through the recruitment agencies that I use, and I always use Search Associates as my main recruitment agency. I'm also using Teacher Horizons this year as well, which is a different one. And sort of the tough thing about actually applying for jobs, especially when you get to my age and maybe you start to worry that you're not a great candidate anymore for some schools because they might be looking for younger teachers. So there's always that doubt that you might miss out on some jobs that you really want just because of that. Being an older, experienced teacher, I'm more expensive as well, although I'm not as expensive as some because I don't have kids that would be a part of the package provided by the school. So it's just myself and my wife. But I've already had kind of one rejection, I suppose. One school I did apply to, I sent an email off through the agency Teacher Horizons, and I had a reply just recently from the agency saying that they weren't going to take my application any further, so I hadn't made the interview stage, that their number of applicants was incredibly large, really high quality applicants, and that I hadn't made it to the next stage. So that's a little bit of a downer. But the thing that I want to explain is that there are so many reasons why that could be the case. It might not be your CV. It might be that they're looking for a younger teacher. They're looking for older teachers in the case of you might be a younger teacher and you might miss out. They might be looking for people with certain experience, specific experience. So this particular job, one of the subjects I hadn't taught before, it was business, economics and global politics, and I've not taught global politics before. So that could be a part of it. It could be any number of reasons why I didn't get the opportunity to interview, but that's okay. And I've thrown my hat into the ring for a couple of others, but I'm going to be really, really picky in terms of what I apply for. So this is my normal walk to school. I normally do this in the mornings at around about 6 in the morning. I go to school pretty early, get in around about 6:30. Well, I've been catching a taxi occasionally recently. It's a bit later today. It's around about 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I'm just going to go and do about 3 hours of work. I tend to do this most Saturdays. I go in, work from 9 to 12, and then I feel like my weekend can really start because I don't have to worry about any school. And I certainly don't like doing any schoolwork on a Sunday. I find that really depressing. So here we are. One of the hassles of where I live is crossing this road, which is pretty busy most times. Now, I actually met up with a former colleague of mine that I worked with in Nanjing last night. He was here for an education conference. It's called ECOS, and a lot of people that I know would have been there. I met up with him, had a drink, and met one of his friends. And all of a sudden, just through one connection, suddenly this friend of a friend says, "Hey, I'm looking for a business teacher in my school, which is in Shenzhen." And that's interesting because I would consider going back to Hong Kong. Shenzhen is just across the border. I'm really curious as to what it's like living in Shenzhen. There were some great schools. There are a lot of schools in that region. And getting back to China and the challenge of learning Mandarin again, it's pretty interesting. So I could consider that. I'd be able to pop across to Hong Kong every weekend. So things just come up, often through contacts. Many jobs kind of can come about because of who you know, and you might have a conversation with someone and you get recommended. And certainly recruiters, meaning principals, really love to recruit people who they have some kind of contact with. In fact, so that maybe someone working with them at the moment is giving them a good recommendation. And I've done that for many teachers before. So schools really like to recruit people with a recommendation from someone that's currently working at the school. When I was working in Hong Kong, I referred 3 different people who I'd previously worked with in Nanjing to my bosses in my school in Hong Kong, and they all got the job. I did the same thing here in Bangkok. Someone applied that I knew, and I went straight down to the principal and said, "You should recruit them, they're great." And then if they end up being great, that means the next time you refer someone, then might help them get the job as well. So I've done that for a few people. The process tends to work is with my search profile, I go in there every day and I just check what the current jobs are. In fact, I get a daily email that says which jobs match my criteria, my profile. And from that list, I can just have a look at the school, get all the information about them, about their salary details, about the size, the number of students, the sort of all the details about the school, and then decide if I'm interested. And then from that, I send an email through their system, and from that, hopefully, I get a reply, and then we arrange an interview. It could be online, or it could in fact be an interview arranged to take place at a recruitment fair. Now, the recruitment fair that I've targeted already is the Bangkok one because I'm living here, and that's in January. So I'll go to that one regardless of what I'm planning, just because it's kind of fun. You get to do a lot of networking and see what things are out there. And this is often an interesting street because in the mornings there's always food vendors up here selling breakfast food to people, as well as coffee. And it's kind of a nice part of the walk, actually. I like the walk in the mornings. The afternoon it gets a little bit hot, but the mornings are quite nice. So yeah, it's only October, so the whole recruitment process is rather long. And I would probably say the recruitment process is pretty much from October to April. And you might get an offer of a job really early, which is good and bad, because if you get an offer of a job really early, that means you've got to make a decision really early, which cancels you out of the running of other jobs that might come up that you don't know about yet. So that's a bit of a challenge, I guess. I was talking to a colleague about that the other day. She's really worried that she hasn't had an offer yet, and I'm thinking, God, it's so early, most of the jobs aren't even available. A lot of teachers haven't put in their notice yet, so there's no need to get worried. Even up until December, you shouldn't be worried. Search associates say that they place 50% of their candidates into jobs after December. So that's a good thing to remember when you're looking for a job, that you might be waiting until March or even April to get your dream job. And don't panic, there are plenty of jobs out there. And the thing is, there's just such an incredible choice. And so that's the thing, the right school, the right country, the right environment. Because I'm in a lucky position where I'm considering taking a year off. I don't have to take a job. I'm very happy to take this year off. And that means that I can be picky, I can be fussy. And I only apply for jobs that I really, really am interested in. And that would really be a better option for me than taking a year off and traveling around. So my taking a year off plan is to do some other things, maybe start a small business online, and travel, spend maybe 3 months here, 3 months in Australia, 3 months in the Philippines, and 3 months in Vietnam. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Do some writing, work on this YouTube channel, and find some other sources of income, do some tutoring. Maybe I'll even tutor some of my current students if they want to tutor. So maybe the tutoring thing might be a nice side hustle that can allow me to have the freedom of, spending some time in different places, going back to Australia. I'd like to kind of spend time with my parents. My mother's in an old age care facility. My dad's had brain cancer, but he's been sort of kicking on for 5 years since he first had that, so he's actually doing really well. But time, I guess, is running out to spend quality time with parents, and that is one of the really challenging things about living overseas. So that's why I kind of have tended to stay reasonably close to Australia, and haven't even considered working in Europe or South America, for example. Asia is close enough to be able to get back pretty easily whenever I want to. And I normally get back a couple of times a year, which is what's happening at the moment. So my wife is getting sick of constant hot weather. She wants a place where it's a bit cooler. Hence the possibility of moving back to Hong Kong, where they actually have seasons, have winters. Shenzhen would be the same, of course. So yeah, Bangkok is great. I absolutely love it. But in terms of the heat, it can be a little bit frustrating sometimes, especially if you want to get out and do physical stuff. So I don't tend to run very much in Bangkok, which is something I miss. And when I was in Hong Kong, I did a lot of trail running. So these are things that I might be able to get back to if I make the move. But anyway, at the moment, I've got a lot of time left in Bangkok to enjoy it and to enjoy the job that I'm working in, which I do enjoy. It's just that after 4 years, it's time for a change. .7-Elevens are a bit of a highlight here in Thailand, and I'm going to pop in and grab myself maybe a coffee and a snack. Toasted ham and cheese sandwiches are pretty awesome here in 7-Eleven, and I actually can go across there to Cafe Amazon and get myself a coffee. Sometimes I grab one of those on the way to school. So let's just pop in the 7-Eleven, grab myself a bit of a snack. And that's what I'm after. These things are awesome. So one of the really great, attractive things about international schools is, of course, the facilities, the resources. Where I am right now, we're sort of going through a fair bit of development, just expansion and upgrading of facilities. The building that I work in is fairly old, so it'll eventually get that retouch as well. But the facilities here are actually pretty good. See, we've got some football happening down there. And so yeah, this is just walking through the corridors, pretty well resourced. And that's what you're looking for in an international school, that the resources are good, that the money is put back into the school, back into the education of the kids, the facilities, and also money being put back into, obviously, salaries as well. So the reason I come in on a Saturday is probably because of my own procrastination. It's not something that everyone has to do. Don't feel that here he is, he's telling us how wonderful all the international schools are and how great it is to work, but he's working on a Saturday. You don't have to do that. It's just that I just find that I can relax a little bit through the week if I can dedicate 3 hours on a Saturday to getting things done. When I'm really fresh, I work better in the mornings. So that's a part of it as well. So you don't have to. I don't see anyone else in here on a Saturday normally, but I just like to come in, get myself sort of organised, I suppose, so I don't worry about thinking about school over the weekend. And yeah, I probably should manage my time during the week better, in which case I wouldn't have to do this and I would be able to use my time for other things. But I feel like I'm more productive, especially things like marking. And today I'm going to be working on business management internal assessments. It's something I've got to really focus hard on, and it's really important because these are grades that get sent away to the IB and they have a big impact on the final student grade. So I have to give them feedback on their draft today, and then I'll give them back to them next week. And then they'll have about 3 weeks then to finish them off and sort of take the feedback, finish the final product, hand them back in, and then we grade them and we submit them to the IB. We actually send a sample, and they're kind of moderated as well to see if we've done a good job of our grades. If they're happy with what we've done with the grades or the samples, then those grades will apply to the rest of the class as well. And this is my classroom. Welcome. Not the most modern classroom in the world, but I quite like it. And it gives me a view of the football pitch down there as well. And I can even see one of the swimming pools. We actually have 2 swimming pools. So I can see one of the swimming pools just over there. And I can see the kids down there on the football pitch. And I coach a football team, so it's kind of useful that I can look out there sometimes and see if the kids have arrived before me. So this is the classroom. Pretty standard kind of classroom. It's normally not arranged this way. I've arranged the classroom this way just because we were doing these Shark Tank pitches in my grade 10 class, where they had to create a food truck and pitch for a bank loan. So we wanted to have it like an audience, and we had 3 sharks at the back of the room. So I've kind of changed the room. I actually prefer to have small groups of 4. But then when the kids came in, I've left it this way, I asked them, and I said, how do you prefer this? Do you prefer it like this or in the groups? And I actually prefer it like this. So I'm going to leave it like this just for a little while, and eventually I'll put it back into table groups so we can get more group work, more sort of those inquiry-based activities that often require people working in small groups. So a couple of other things. I'm going to sit down and eat my breakfast. There's my calendar, so I've got a few things on there. I've got to update, and I've also got to update assessment tasks on our platform called ManageBack, which we use to put all our assessment tasks in. That's another thing I'll be working on today. So here's my work that I need to focus on today. So these are 1,800 word internal assessments for business. They're all about sort of using supporting documents to sort of help the business solve a problem or an issue or make a decision based on sort of things that they're going through, and using only the supporting documents to help with that. It's a large part of it is evaluation. They create a research question themselves. Often the research questions are phrased in some way to allow evaluation. For example, to what extent? So to what extent can this company, Spotify, increase its market share through a strategic alliance or something like that. But I'm not going to do this without some food, more procrastination. So let's get into this beautiful ham and cheese sandwich. All right, well that's it. It's 12 o'clock, so that's sort of time for me to head off. I'm gonna go and get some lunch. As usual, I never quite got the amount of work done that I thought I was going to, so I'm gonna take some of this home with me. Maybe if my wife is out tomorrow, I'll get back to it and do a little bit of Sunday work. But the good thing is my timetable says that I have 2 free lessons in the morning on Monday, so that means that I'll have some time to either finish this off or do some more planning, plan out my day. Look over here at my schedule. What have I got? I've got 4 lessons out of the 6 on Monday. So 2 lessons of prep time, followed by a break, and then 2 lessons, then lunch, then 2 lessons after lunch. And Monday there are no meetings after school, so I'll stick around until we have to leave. We can't leave until 3:30, so working till 3:30. I'll get into school pretty early actually. I normally start early, get some work done in the morning, and officially our first lesson starts at 7:35. Everything's early here in Bangkok, partially because of traffic problems and make it easier for kids to get into school, but especially in the afternoon for students and also teachers to be able to get home reasonably quickly before the traffic gets really, really bad. So we finish up at 2:45 for the kids, and teachers leave at 3:30. All right, let's get out of here. Yeah, I'm definitely going to miss this place for sure. It's been a good period of time here working, really enjoyed it, great students. And it's always a little bit sad when you move on, but that's sort of the life of an international teacher, I guess. Slightly different route. We'll walk down this way past the library. Just up ahead there is the senior lounge where the grade 11s and 12s spend their study blocks. There's the library over there behind me. Walking down into sort of the admin area where the principals are and the head of school. Looks like the football's finished. There's always staff around doing some work on the weekends. They tend to not have a 5-day week. The other thing that's often happening here on Saturdays is SATs. There are often kids doing SAT exams, so we host it, so our kids do it, but kids from other schools come in here to our campus to do their SATs as well. And they normally have a few cracks at those, and for many of them that's just as important as their final DP scores. You know, doing well in the SATs could be what gets them into college, or it could be more reliant upon their DP scores, depending upon where they're applying to. Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you, and you?
Good, good, good. See you later. Have a good weekend. So just getting back to where I'm at with my job search. Obviously I've said I've applied for a couple of jobs, but nothing's really come yet. It's really early, so throughout the next week I'll just keep checking on those databases, on the search website and the Teacher Horizons website as well. If I see a job that's interesting, I'll send an email, they'll get back to me hopefully. And the thing I'm looking forward to this year is hopefully getting to a recruitment fair. The one here in Bangkok is a big one run by Search Associates. So hopefully I'll be able to arrange lots of interviews, whether it's 5, 6, maybe up to even 10 interviews with administrators from the schools I'm interested in at that search fair. There may not be that many because a lot of interviews these days get done online. So maybe I'll have interviews before the search fairs, and I guess that gives you an advantage in one way, that you get in ahead of the fair, so you might get a job offer before some of your competition turns up for a recruitment fair. So that's one way to get an earlier offer, but in some cases the schools think that they can wait because candidates are chasing them in many regards if they're high quality schools, and they feel that they can do a little bit more business at the fairs where they can get all their jobs filled in one hit rather than the whole online interview process. But they all do things in different ways, different strategies, different timelines, things pop up late. Sometimes jobs appear and disappear. Sometimes people say they're leaving and then they change their mind. People say they're staying and decide that they're going to leave, and so it could be that they're trying to fill jobs at some stage in February, March or April, which creates opportunities for some, but just shows you've got to be flexible, open-minded, and kind of just react when positions come up and not get too upset if you haven't got a job by December. All right, let's walk along the street. Let's go get some coffee and some lunch. Okay, so that's my Saturday morning routine almost done. Just had some lunch there at Starbucks and I'm going to walk back and then sort of plan the rest of my weekend now. I always feel good that I've got the work bit out of the way and then I can enjoy the rest of the weekend. It also means that I'm not stressed on a Sunday night thinking about lesson plans and finishing up marking and those kinds of things. So this is a little shortcut here that I occasionally walk through on the way home, mostly just on the weekend. Just walks along the canal. It's kind of interesting to see. So the locals through here, and they're normally pretty friendly, and people say hello as you're walking, sort of right through past the back of their homes. But it's, as I said before, it's the sort of the real Thailand, and I like to experience the real parts of the places where I live, rather than just the sort of upmarket, high-rise part of Bangkok, which people tend to see, which is great. But yeah, real people, real Thai people, which is quite cool. Swadee Cup. Swadee Cup. And here we are, back to where we started. So this is a great complex, really great pool and gym. The gym is up there, and the pool is up there. It's a pool on the 3rd level, it's all outdoors though, and it's a really long, beautiful pool. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little walk, and that was my typical Saturday morning. Even though it's work-based, it's kind of a nice way to start the weekend, going to school, doing a little bit of work, getting on top of a few things, having a bit of a walk, coffee, some lunch afterwards, then coming back, and now I can enjoy the rest of my weekend, maybe watch a little bit of sport. My wife will probably drag me shopping somewhere. All right, have a great weekend. I'll see you in another video.